I'm from India. Ended up moving to Atlanta. Got to start there. Playing in a bunch of rock bands, punk rock bands, touring. Went to SAE, started recording, and interning over at Zach Recording with Jim Z and Tony Terrebonne, Sam Thomas, the whole crew. I was working on records out there for a long time and wanted to come out to LA and work on some more stuff. And here we are, man. Worked at Billboard Studios for a bit, met Young Thug there, like quit working with him, moved to LA, and he happened to be on my flight when I moved here, which was crazy. Odds? Yeah, I walked off the plane, at the gate, saw him standing there, he saw me, we locked eyes, and we're like, yo, and he was like, dude, what are you doing here? And I was like, just moved here. And he's like, yo, pull up to the studio. And I was like, well, I don't have a job. So I was like, all right, cool. And we got reconnected, but we'd stopped working for a couple months. Nice. It was we were kind of like, all right, cool. I moved on. He's moved on. And then once we reconnected at LAX, we were just like, yo, that was meant to be. And we've talked about that since too. It's always been a thing that dude, yo, remember that time that we ran into each other? Yeah, dude, we still laugh about that too. So I think that was a sign for us to reconnect and then just lock in. And ever since then, we were 24/7 in the studio, touring, US, Europe, wherever. It was just all the time. Nice. So it was dope. I met Baines in LA and I was just visiting. And my sister is actually good friends with him and his best friend. So so they were like, yo, Shaan, you should meet Baines. And we're like, all right, cool. Whatever. And he was probably thinking the same thing. He was like, all right, sure. And I hit him up and we ended up just hanging out at a studio and just kind of kicked it. Years later, after we hung out and worked on projects and stuff, we figured out that we both lived in two neighborhoods apart from each other in India. And we never met there, but we just found out that we lived super close, which is crazy. I used it on Don't Let Me Go with MGK. Yeah, man, I used it on the piano. It's in that video. It sounded great, man. Yeah, he loved it too. And I was like, yo, man, check out this mic. And he's like, oh, that looks sick. And, if there's a cool session going on, I'll just bring it. And I'll find a place to throw it up. It's dope on piano, acoustic guitars, amazing on them. Drums, I use it on BMXing, which is an MGK song. We did a live version with Travis Barker on drums, and I just kind of threw it up on the side towards the shells. Then we got a little cool texture out of it, and it's on that video too. It's just smooth, man. It's smooth. It's warm. It's got a dope texture to it, and sometimes I'm always. I always gravitate towards mics that sound different. You can always reach for just the most common microphone that everyone's going to use. But if I'm cutting an acoustic guitar or a cello or a dope instrument, I want to try something cool, just unique, and that just gives me a dope, nice full body sound. It's got some texture to it, and most of the time I'm just happy with it, and it's cool too because that mic's got a story, Mm-hmm. It's like a story mic, which is great. Man, most of the time when I use it on a vocal, it's for a specific song, or just a style that I'm trying to capture. Then I'll reach for it. If it's an acoustic folky sounding, record, then I'll go for it. Or if I know that I'm gonna do an effect on a vocal, and I've got the time to set it up, or if it's a record that I'm producing, then I'll know that I could set that up and I could affect it in a certain way and just get a cool tone to it, So it's it's great for specifics that I want to use, And then next thing you know, we just come up with ideas and it works. Don't Let Me Go and the live version of BMXing, and I use it on a song with Mod Sun too. It is called Hotel Lights. We used it in the outro, so it was hey man, let's use this mic for this section. So if I'm recording acoustic guitar, for example, I would use the Cloud 44 passive into a Cloudlifter, Neve Pre, 1176, maybe an LA2A, through whichever console, and then into Pro Tools. I love using the Cloudlifter and the Cloud 44 on a bunch of different instruments. It's great to have in every studio situation. I feel like it just helps me get like a nice cleaner signal. I don't have to drive it. I don't have to drive the pre as hard. It just gives me that extra boost and just gives me that extra clean gain that I need. Yeah, it kind of gives you like a cleaner signal of that authentic mic sound, you know? I don't have to drive the pre as hard, and I'm just getting a nice solid, gain right before I hit everything. And like you can tell by the way it sounds, you can just tell that it's like, oh, yo, these components are dope, you know? And also to anyone that thinks that it's like only for like a Focusrite or an Apollo, dude, it's not, but it enhances that, you know? It's like if I don't have a preamp, I need that. Like, I love having a Cloudlifter if I'm going right into like an interface. Yeah, just worked on a song called Lonely Road with MGK and Jelly Roll. Those guys are great dudes. We had so much fun making that song. I grew up playing in bands, used to tour, used to be in studios recording our own stuff. And at that point, once the bands broke up, it was like, all right, let me figure out what to do. And it was either culinary or audio engineering, so I'm glad I went this route. I won a Grammy for This Is America with Childish Gambino. I won a Grammy for Black Radio 3 with Robert Glasper. I feel really like lucky and blessed because I've gotten to work on rock records, punk rock records, hip hop, jazz, R&B, country. So I feel like I've hit a lot of my favorite like genres. I've done some folk stuff. It's just awesome, man. Like it's just music, man. If it sounds good, if it makes you feel good, if you're working with good people, it sounds good to me, man. Let's fucking do it. Man, speak up. You know what I mean? Speak up in the room. Speak up with the labels, managers, if they're trying to, do business, figure out what your worth is. Don't let people push you around. Jim Z taught me that. Shout out Jim Z. He told me to stand up for myself and don't take from nobody. And there's situations where I've kept my mouth shut, and then there are times where I've said what I meant. And actually, sometimes people value that, and they also realize it's like, yo, you don't fuck with that dude. And it's like the first day, it's like you'll do like a session with some new people. And if there's egos in the room, and if they start drilling you, you're kind of stuck in that. They're gonna keep drilling you the whole session, the next week, the next month, whatever. But if someone says some shit, man, put your foot down. Be like, yo, get the f out of here. That, but call someone else, and then they'll learn to respect you too. I feel like what really helped me was that I just love music. So all genres, I wasn't like, I'm only going to work in like hip hop. I actually, I thought I was gonna, if someone told me that I would be Young Thug's engineer in the beginning of my career, I would have been like, who? What? But then that happened, and that opened up so many more doors. And so I think what separated me was just like, I just loved making music. And, if it sounded cool, I was into it. And then I fell in love with hip hop music, and I always loved rock music. And then I used to work with Terrace Martin and Robert Glasper, and I was still new to like jazz music. So I remember asking Terrace, I was like, hey dude, what did you grow up listening to? And he gave me like a list of some of his favorite jazz musicians, and I went home that night. On the drive home, I started listening to it. That next morning, I started listening to the music that he was listening to. And then I came to the session the next day and just started dialing it in. And, it's just loving music and learning new stuff, man. It's awesome.